Hello world. This is a public service announcement about the eye cancer retinoblastoma. Retinoblastoma is a rare form of cancer that rapidly develops from the immature cells of the retina. The retina is the inner layer of the eye and has light detecting tissues. Nerve cells in the retina sense light and send images to the brain and allows us to see. Retinoblastoma causes tumors, which are clumps of cells, to grow in the retina. This happens when the nerve cells grow out of control. As you can see below, we have a normal healthy eye, and then we have an eye that is affected by retinoblastoma. And as you can see in the back where the retina is, there's a tumor, a white tumor covering it. Retinoblastoma usually occurs in children younger than 4 years old, but can be found in children all the way from birth to 14 years old. It accounts for 3% of all cancers found in children. 40% of all cases of retinoblastoma are inherited, meaning that it's passed down from the parent to the child.
Okay, some symptoms of retinoblastoma include blurred vision, a dark patch around the eye that increases in size, bulging of one's eye, losing part of one's field of vision, seeing flashes of light, a pupil that looks white or black instead of red when it hits the light, a crossed eye, poor vision, a red painful eye, and an enlarged pupil. Retinoblastoma can be noticed just by parents taking a picture. When taking a picture, the flash will hit the eyes and a possible white yellowish color will show up because cancer grows in front of the pink color in the retina of the eye. A more specific way to diagnose retinoblastoma is an eye examination where doctors will use an ophthalmoscope to observe the eye. An ophthalmoscope is an instrument for inspecting the retina and other parts of the eye. A fluorescein angiography is used to take a picture of blood vessels in the eyes. A fine needle biopsy is another way to help diagnose by removing tumor cells from the eye with a needle. The cells are then looked at under a microscope. Electroretinography, or an ERG test, also helps diagnose by measuring the electrical response of the light-sensitive cells in your eyes. These cells are known as rods and cones. They form part of the back of the eye, which is known as the retina. A CT scan can also be used to measure the tumor's size or help the doctor find cancer outside of the eye. Sometimes a special dye called a contrast medium is given before the scan to provide better detail on the image. This dye can be injected into a patient's vein or given as a pill or liquid to swallow. Blood tests also help evaluate or diagnose retinoblastoma, and they help check for problems with the liver and the kidneys. The doctor may also look at the blood for changes in chromosome 13. Chromosomes are the parts of a cell that contain genes, and in a few cases of retinoblastoma, these genes are either missing or non-functional.
Untreated retinoblastoma can spread widely throughout the retina, throughout the fluid inside the eye called the vitreous. Large tumors may detach from the retina and break into smaller tumors called vitreous seeds. Floating in the vitreous, these seeds are very difficult to treat. Into the tissue under the retina, into the eye socket, optic nerve, and the brain, to the bones and the bone marrow. Treatment of retinoblastoma depends on 3 factors: whether the tumor affects one or both eyes, the center of vision is affected by the tumor, and if the tumor has spread to other parts of the body. Treatment of retinoblastoma can include surgery, chemotherapy, focal therapy, and radiation therapy. Surgery is used to remove the eye if needed. Eyes may be removed in children with advanced retinoblastoma. In patients with only one affected eye, when that eye is removed, more than 90% of patients do not need any more treatment. In patients with both eyes affected, if one eye is removed, treatment will focus on saving the remaining eye. When the tumor has spread into the tissue surrounding the eye or the eye socket, the patient is treated with chemotherapy after surgery. Chemotherapy uses medicines to kill cancer cells or stop them from growing and dividing and making more cancer cells. Chemo may be injected into the bloodstream so that it can travel throughout the body. Chemo may also be injected around the eye for local treatment. Combination therapy uses more than one type of chemo at a time. Because chemotherapy alone cannot cure retinoblastoma, patients often receive focal therapy. Focal therapy is treatment with laser therapy or freezing treatments, cryotherapy, while under anesthesia, the medicine that helps these children sleep. These focal therapies may continue even after chemotherapy is complete. Sometimes the tumors in the eye are small enough to be treated with only one focal therapy. Very rarely, the tumor invades the brain or spreads to the bones or bone marrow. These patients require more intensive chemo, including a stem cell transplant. Stem cell transplants include replacing blood-forming cells in the bone marrow that have been killed by chemo or radiation therapy. A stem cell transplant gives the patient new immature cells from a donor's blood or bone marrow. These cells grow into healthy blood cells to replace the ones the patient lost. Some types of stem cell transplants may be called bone marrow transplants because the cells come from a donor's bone marrow. Sometimes only radiation therapy, the strongest treatment for fighting retinoblastoma, helps maintain vision and prevent the spread of cancer. Radiation therapy uses high-energy X-rays or other types of radiation to kill cancer cells or stop them from growing. Radiation is reserved for patients who have not responded to other therapies. External radiation uses a machine outside the body to deliver the X-ray dose. Internal radiation uses seeds, needles, wires, or catheters to deliver the radiation directly into or close to the cancer. A very young child with multiple tumors or retinoblastoma in both eyes is likely to keep developing retinoblastoma tumors until 3 years of age, so treatment might be less aggressive until age 3. Chemotherapy is used to shrink the tumors. Focal therapy uses laser therapy and certain freezing methods under anesthesia. What are the survival rates for retinoblastoma? If the tumor is contained within one or both eyes, more than 95% of treated patients can be cured. For children with retinoblastoma in both eyes, about 70 to 80% of eyes can be saved.
The Notch signaling pathway is a highly conserved developmental pathway which is important in the regulation of cell proliferation, differentiation, and apoptosis. Previous studies have demonstrated that Notch signaling is involved in the carcinogenous progression, invasion, and neurovascular formation of numerous malignant tumors. Notch is able to function as an oncogene or a tumor suppressor, depending on the cell type and context. In order to understand the role of Notch signaling in retinoblastoma, the present study sought to identify which Notch receptors and ligands were primarily expressed in SORB50 cells. They conducted a Western blot analysis that was performed to measure the protein expression levels of Notch1, Notch2, Notch3, JAG1, and JAG2. The study revealed that Notch1 and JAG2 were highly expressed compared to human retinal pigment epithelial cells. These results suggest that Notch signaling is important in oncogenesis and retinoblastoma.
Malignant tumors are cancerous. They develop when cells grow uncontrollably. The cancer cells that move to other parts of the body are the same as the original ones, but they have the ability to invade other organs. In a retinoblastoma, a tumor can be benign or cancerous. A benign tumor means the tumor can grow but will not spread. A cancerous tumor is malignant, meaning it can grow and spread to other parts of the body. Cancer that forms in the eyeball is called